All right, Jodi and
Gino.
Gino. Jodi and Gino. You guys, you guys been together for how long?
A year and a half. It's like
October
we,
October 2000.
everybody we talk to asks that question and they swear that we've been together 20 years. So we're like a long couple.
Yeah,
And
long
we
time.
Act, we act
Yeah.
like it.
We actually we get asked for advice. I'm like, oh, you want advice from us? I don't know.
So tell me about your childhoods. You guys grew up where?
Where do you go first?
I grew up in Lamere, Montana. It's a reservation. It's the Northern Cheyenne Reservation in Montana. I grew up there till I was about 11, going on 12. And then I was already drinking by then. I was
Drinking alcohol?
alcohol, a lot of alcohol.
At what age?
Yeah, 11.
11.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that unusual
No.
down there? Up there, the Indian reservations,
Yes, there's a lot. Yeah, alcohol.
alcohol is really out of
Yes.
control
That's
there.
all it is.
And it's a dry res, you know. So there's a lot of bootleggers, tons of bootleggers. There's the bar though is like just a quarter mile off the reservation. It's like right there. Yeah.
How would you get alcohol at 11 years old?
From bootleggers, from relatives who were drinking and would just pass out, Um,
How did you get exposed at that early age?
just friends. When we were growing up, we were just friends drinking, and their parents actually is what it was. The parents drinking, and then we would sneak drinks, and then it just became. And then we'd run away. Me and my friends my age, we'd run away. And what is crazy is a couple of them when I had left home when I was 11, going on 12. Because at 12, I went to treatment. The day I turned 12 was my birthday. Or the day I went into treatment, I was 12. Was my 12th birthday.
And this is what city in Montana?
Lame Deer, Montana, and then I went to Billings for treatment. Billings, Montana.
And what type of Native American are you?
Northern Cheyenne and Chippewa, and then half Northern Cheyenne, and then about a quarter Chippewa, and then the rest white. German, Swedish, Irish, French, Canadian, and Norwegian. Yeah.
So your childhood was
Well, what's crazy is my grandparents raised me, my dad's parents, and they didn't drink or do drugs. They were very traditional. My grandmother was the last Northern Cheyenne warrior woman, and my grandfather was a chief, one of the 44 chiefs. He was a drum keeper, so. Every summer growing up, we'd travel out to all the powwows in Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and we'd camp out. We'd stay the weekend because my grandfather sang. He sang Indian music. But they never drank. My grandmother worked. They both worked. My grandmother, she was the woman, or in our tribe, she was looked at as, she was kind of like a policewoman in a way, our judge to the societies. She was the one that could do things that as women, we're not allowed to do certain things traditional way, traditionally. Like we can't touch eagle feathers, We're not supposed to look like men are who are medicine men, or who are in the a chief. We're not supposed to give them direct eye contact. There's just certain things we're not. And my grandmother, she could do those things. She was pretty awesome, actually. And but we didn't drink. They didn't drink. They didn't do drugs. I never once seen my grandfather raise his voice to my grandmother or be abusive in any way. I was raised in a really good way, but just the alcoholism was, by the time I was 12. But I lived in foster homes after that. After I went to treatment, I didn't want to go back to the reservation because a lot of, I'd say about one or two of my friends my age were already pregnant and having babies. So I didn't want to come back to the res and,
How bad was your alcohol?
I was drinking a lot. I was drinking mainly hard liquor, and they don't they didn't know what a mixed drink was. No, I don't want to. If it comes up, it comes up. But I was drinking. I got to the point to where if I would throw up, I would just throw up yellow bile from my liver. So it was pretty bad. I was drinking, we drink like Jack Daniels and Southern Comfort, and buy cases of beer. We just didn't buy 12-pack, they'd buy cases and cases of beer, and just liters. And
What percentage of kids on the reservation are going through something like this?
I'd say probably 85%.
Really?
Yeah. Even to this day, it's pretty bad. Now there's guns, drugs. There's a lot of molestation, rape, not just with the little girls, it's boys too. There's no more family unit. The family unit is pretty much gone. The kids are taking care of their parents. My son, I was in and out of prison a lot. My he was 13. He's 17 now. Year-old son was 10 months old when the marshals came to the house and picked me up. They found out where I was at, and me and my boys' dad was going to college, and I had a warrant, and the marshals came and took me. He was only 10 months old. By the time I finished in 2018 with all that, I only met him a few times. He knew who I was, and stuff, but he was 11 going on 12.
Who raised your son?
His dad. Their dad was awesome. He totally flipped his life around. He got with somebody else when I went to prison that time. He didn't. He's like, I didn't. He said, I didn't intentionally do this, Jodi. He said, but and he said she came over a couple times. I helped her move, and we had sex, and she got pregnant, and I just wanted to do the right thing. You're locked up all the time, and which was, I understood that, like I said, the drinking, I never stopped. I never stopped drinking.
You were drinking while you were pregnant?
Yeah. I would slow down, I would slow down. None of my children have any, you can't really see any effects of alcohol with them. There's no, but I slowed down, but I still use drugs and alcohol. I used to shoot up, but I don't shoot up no more.
What is it about the Native Americans that are so susceptible to alcohol addiction?
Well, I think it's because it numbs you. And also we're built a little different physically. We have, our livers are, they have this, we all have, everybody on their liver, we have a flap that goes like this. And only the Native Americans, which is, I don't know why, maybe because we're still, our bodies are still getting, going to acclimate to the alcohol, and where everybody else has had millions of years. But when the alcohol hits it, the flap stays open. And the body sends this, craving for more alcohol. But it doesn't start doing this again until 30 days from your last drink. So I'd have to be sober for 30 days for my flap to start doing this. So, and your body just craves it. And it's numbing, I tell you, it's numbing. It's like a third world country on our reservation. There's no growth. There's no family unit anymore. Parents, there's no, really no family unit, The mother or the father, so one of them's gone, the grandparents are raising the kids. The kids are taken away, put in group foster homes. Parents not allowed to see the kid, continue drinking. Maybe one's killed. And so that it just is, it's bad, it's just really, really bad. Sad. Yeah, that was one of the main reasons I didn't want to go back home after I finished my 30-day treatment, was because I didn't want to become pregnant and have children by the time I was 16,
How many kids do you have?
Now, well, I have 9, 6 live. Gino and I, actually, we lost the baby right after when we got here. I didn't know I was pregnant. I was about 3 months pregnant, and we miscarried.
And drugs have been a part of your life after, as an adult?
Yes. Well, no. See, I didn't do drugs until I didn't do meth. I started out with doing meth. I smoked weed and drank, and then when I was like 19, going on 20, is when I started doing methamphetamines. Crank. It was called crank.
Yeah, and that kind of replaced the alcohol?
Somewhat, yeah. Somewhat. I still drank.
You still?
Yeah, but I didn't drink. I wasn't getting drunk like I used to, because you couldn't really get drunk. But yeah, I drank and did meth, and it started shooting up. I smoked it, snorted it, and then I started shooting up. That was my world. That was my whole life. I sold it on the reservation. I sold drugs. I would leave and just go out with friends, and we'd go out and get high and be gone for 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Yeah, that was what my life just revolved around. It was horrible. I look back now, I'm like, oh.
What made you come to Los Angeles?
Him. I met him.
You met Gino where?
Yeah. It's crazy. I went, me and my friends, I was in the middle of, I was in a 3-year, my ex relationship with this guy named Dave, and he was very abusive, verbally abusive, and he would, and it became physical, but he went to jail for domestic, and he couldn't come back to the house, and he'd been in jail, and he couldn't come back after he got out of jail. He had to stay within so many feet. And it'd been probably about 3 months, and I hadn't really been going out or anything. I'd just been staying in, and my friends convinced me to go out. And so they have machines. They have at the bars. They have casino, the machines. And so I was playing. I went in and put some money in the machine, and I seen somebody out of the corner of my eye sit down beside the next machine, and I just kept playing. And then pretty soon I could see this person, like kind of like I feel. Get closer out of the corner of my eye and get closer, and then I could see. I got really good peripheral that the person turned and was just staring at me, and I was like, and I turned like that, looked at him, and he's looking at me, and he goes, and I went, and we've been together since.
That was how long ago?
It was like October of, 2020, 21. 21.
Oh, 22. I
No,
didn't get out of the feds until 22.
Oh, okay, 22. Are you sure?
Yeah.
So it was all 22. The rest of 22.
So a year and a half.
23. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 22. Yeah.
So Gino, tell me about yourself.
Well.
How'd you grow up?
Well, jeez. I grew up the son of my mother's an Italian family. Then my father's an Irish and Italian. And basically my father's side of the family, they were Southeast, being straight-blooded Irish. If you ever heard of Whitey Bulger, he was a Southie. He actually lived here in Santa Monica for quite some time.
So you grew up in Boston?
Yeah, out there, the forte for amongst all the Irishmen in Hell's Kitchen was robbing banks, robbing armored cars, and robbing jewelry stores. That's what my family did. I mean, since Jesus Christ, since stagecoaches, literally, you can trace it back to that. My family
robbing stagecoaches and other things in the banks?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Wells Fargo had to put like a 1.5 year stop or something like that due to my family's involvement in robberies, stopping it from New York to Boston. They wouldn't travel the roads. But anyways, I was so young when my father went away, and my mother split up. My mother's Italian side was real, they were gangsters, but they were wannabes, in my eyes. If you look back at history and notes and really historical fact, whenever the Italians had a family or had a problem, they'd call the Irish. Anyhow, during a robbery, I don't know how my mother found out, but my dad was coming to pick me and my sister up. I don't know. I was talking to her yesterday about it, but my stepfather was molesting my sister. I, at one point, attempted to kill him later on, about 6 years later. But my dad came out, and my grandfather had planned a robbery. So I've never been to the West Coast. Let's rob a bank. That's how they were. So they robbed a bank off El Toro Road, the Bank of America there. It's got the big, I think it's like 20 floors. At the time, they were working not alongside, but the Cobra Task Force was working in conjunction with another task force, probably ATF, what have you. They were going around letting guys commit crimes and smoking them after the crime. So they let my grandfather, my uncle, and my father commit the robbery. They came out, and to make a long story short, they duped my dad into appearing to reach for his gun. One of the snipers did not have his earbud in, apparently. And they opened up. My dad was shot 44 times. They let him bleed to death right there on the pavement. Took almost an hour. They killed my grandfather on the spot. They killed my other uncle on the spot. My uncle Charles, who was a getaway driver, sped out of there. This guy was amazing. Bullets first riddled his car, but he got about 2 miles before he hit an old man who was crossing an intersection. And my uncle slammed on the brakes, runs over the old man, slams on the brakes, runs back to the old man and tries to resuscitate him. So we got 35 years for the murder and armed robbery. That happened when I was 7 years old. I didn't know. I was at Carl's Jr. at the time, but me and my sister heard fireworks, and I thought it was 4th of July. I was like, my sister's like, no, it's August. July was last month. I was like, what's all that sound? And it was my dad getting killed, you know.
So your uncle ended up killing the man who was crossing the street?
Yeah, he got convicted of manslaughter.
How old was your uncle?
When he got out, he was 62.
But how old was he when this was all going on?
My uncle would have been 24, right around there. My uncles and my father were really close in age. It seemed like the Collins women would have children really fast, and they would all become deceased at a young age. It was kind of the family thing.
How was your life after that?
After that, I didn't know anything of my father for years. But my sister was being raped. I found out when I would go to basketball practice, baseball practice, I'm sorry. I go to baseball practice every Wednesday, and when I leave, he'd rape my sister. I'd come back from baseball practice and games, what have you, and she'd be crying. She'd run and hug me and jump on me, and I never knew until she told me one day. And I was like, this motherfucker, you know, man.
Who was doing it?
Huh?
Who was doing this to her, your sister?
My stepfather.
Your stepfather.
At the time, he was a battalion chief for the Orange County Fire Department. He was a pastor for Calvary Chapel. He was like Mr. Perfect, you know. So I concocted a plan to steal my buddy's dad's gun and stay home from baseball practice and kill him as he attempted to rape my sister. Unfortunately, as I was under the bed, all I heard was police outside on the megaphone. Gino, come out. We know you're under the bed. We know what's going on. My buddy got weak and told his dad, and they busted me. So at that point, I was given up to the state of California, and I'm with the California Youth Authority.
Well, hold on. So the police busted your stepfather?
No, they busted me. They didn't believe the story about my sister. They thought it was a lie. They believed when I was 18 years old and she came forward and said he was telling the truth. Man, he was a sick fuck. I'm gonna kill that guy.
And your stepfather was your stepfather ever convicted?
No. He actually admitted when she came forward, as I was approaching my 18th birthday, I was transferred from California Youth Authority to California Men's Prison, and they were going to release me to go to high school because my credits in high school, I was advanced placement math, advanced placement English, advanced placement everything. I would sit in my cell and just read, study, and that's it.
So smart. So smart.
Anyhow, when I was approaching 18, my sister came forward and said Gino was telling the truth all those years. I'd do stupid stuff, like we'd be in church. He'd be up there giving a sermon, and I'd be like, "Hey, Chester." I mean, I really mocked this guy. But to this day, I don't know where my sister is. I would like to know. A lot has happened since my childhood. Yeah, so my childhood was really rough in California Youth Authority. I don't know if you've ever heard stories about it, but it's called Gladiator School. I killed my first guy when I was 14 years old. They never convicted me because they placed me and him in the day room together. And he attempted to rape me, and I stabbed him to death. And that's how I lived as a child. Defending myself, defending my life. You know, everything was my word is my honor, my word is my bond. My color is very racist, very hateful, very full of a lot of falsity. A lot of falsity to the point where when I got out, I knew I was going to become a bank robber. And I was going to be the best bank robber in Orange County history. Judge Stotler, Allison Marie Stotler, actually said I was the most prolific bank robber in Orange County history. What the fuck she meant by that?
This is Orange County in which state?
Right here.
In California.
Yeah. So I was convicted of 36 bank robberies in 1997. I was arrested in 1994, but I spent those 3 years fighting my case. I represented myself. I taught myself law. I was a smart kid, man. I had the world at my feet. I could have done anything. Absolutely anything. Judge Tyler even said, you know, I could give you a medical journal and you're going to operate on yourself and remove or something. And I was like, man, probably. But I feel like a lot of it that I was robbed of a childhood. I grew up very violent. And it reflected on me later on in my young adulthood. My stepfather, to this day, I have not seen him. He very smartly stays far away. And my mother remarried him.
Your mom is still married to him today?
Yeah. Well, she divorced him when he came out and he confessed and actually resigned as battalion chief and resigned his pastorhood. But he was without pension, things of that nature. But they never convicted him, man. They never went to court. I think it had something to do with my sister refusing to testify.
How much prison time have you done in your life?
My California Youth Authority, I was in prison from 13 to 18, so 5 years. between 18 and 24. I was in and out probably 2 years out. I had that. And then in 1997, I caught 12 years for the bank robberies. I did 11 years, 9 months on the 12 for good behavior, 60 days. I was in USP Florence. That is notably the most violent prison in the United States, where Chapo's right next door. I've seen heads cut off. I've seen it all, man. I've seen what man's capable of. It's sickening, a lot of it. So 12 years there, 12 and 5, that's what, 17. And I just got 8 years for possession of firearms and stolen cars in Montana.
And you went to Montana for what reason?
I was trafficking meth.
So drugs have been a part of your life?
Yeah, when I got out for the bank robberies, I was a law clerk, working with an Armenian law firm here in Los Angeles. A lot of us were really mixed up with organized crime. They respected me because I was Italian Irish and robbed banks. You know, they had some kind of like weird sick thing about it. And I was with them for a number of years until I got mixed up with a client and I started trafficking drugs. To date, they ended up RICOing him and his entire clan. They're affiliated with a group of individuals. And I was in turn affiliated with that group, so I was under the RICO investigation, and to this day, you know, they let me out. I got mixed up with her son and her. I love her. She's everything to me. But falsely, I believe that they put the RICO case together on me because I was indicted in October and I took off. I didn't want to die in prison.
Yeah, we were being pulled over, or pretty much just they were always there by the ATF and the DEA. It was weekly, 2 to 3 times a week. They would just pull us over and search our cars and search whatever we were driving, and then let us go. Leave whatever's in the car on the passenger seat. Whatever they find, any drugs or anything, they just leave it on the passenger seat. And then they'd say I could drive, but he couldn't. And I was like, I didn't have my driver's license. I have a suspended license. The vehicles weren't no insurance. The vehicles were like illegal themselves, and they still would just let us drive away.
Well, we were on a do not detain, so the local police couldn't touch us. The feds wouldn't touch us because they thought that I had a connection here in California that was sending drugs there, and I was the distributor for a fentanyl organization, which was bullshit.
So are they still looking for you?
Yeah.
Are you on the run?
Yep. I broke my neck last year.
That was horrible.
Yeah, you're in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you break your neck?
I was having heart issues, and I have urethral leukemia, which is cancer of the red cell as opposed to the white cell. So it creates an enlarged hemoglobin level in your blood, and you become susceptible to heart attacks and strokes. Well, at one point I had 4 strokes or heart attacks, and she found me unconscious at home. We had moved out of Run House because it was raided by a task force, and moved into the worst side. We jumped out of the pot and got in the fire. Right. We blew a freaking drone out of the sky. That was horrible. But
yeah, me and my son helped me. He would never go to the house. I couldn't get him to go, and me and my son had found him, and we had been in town, and we came back from town, and he was burning up. And so I was able to get him to the hospital finally. My son helped me get him into the car to the hospital, and they said that he had been having heart attacks. Well, he ended up leaving the hospital after, how long was he in there? About a week? And then left the hospital, and then we were sitting outside a friend of mine's apartment building, and we were sitting on the steps in the front, and he was sitting behind me on the very top step, and we've been sitting there for a minute, and he said, babe, my butt cheeks hurt, I'm gonna stand up. And I said, all right. I said, stand up. And he stood up, and next thing I know, he just went right over the top of me, and his whole body, just landed right on top of his head, and just broke his neck, and like, what, 5 places? 5 places?
2 through 7.
And when I ran down there, I was like, he was looking at his pupils went big, small, like pinpoint small, and then big. And then he focused in, and then he kind of smiled, and then he just went pale, and he told me to call 911 because he couldn't feel anything. Mm-hmm.
Which was a big thing for me to do, to say call 911.
Right, I knew
I
it was serious. I knew it had to be bad. It was not good. Yeah, not good at all. At all. And they took him right away to the hospital, and for 12 hours, he was just screaming. I couldn't even touch him. He would scream in pain. For those 12 hours, he just screamed and screamed, and they were giving him shots of morphine, fentanyl, Dilaudid, everything, and it just, I could see when they give it to him, where it would ease up the pain just a little bit for not even a minute, I'd say, and he'd just start screaming again. And the doctors came and told us that, well, he had to make a choice at just pretty much right now, if he wanted the surgery. If he did the surgery, he had a higher percentage of walking again. If he didn't, he would be paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of his life. So he said, "Do we do the surgery?" Yeah, right. But that was a scary moment for me, just the thought of him going in there and something happening, and because that was a high risk too, and not seeing him again.
We basically were not going to be separated, but the way things have turned out, I think it was a mistake.
Are you guys homeless now?
Yeah.
And you're using drugs still?
Yeah.
What drug? Is it fentanyl?
And meth.
Everything. But
I quit drinking. It's the only thing that could get me quit drinking. I didn't even quit drinking for my kids, for nobody, for nothing.
I want what's best for her.
And he didn't like my
think
drinking
I'm
either.
done.
So
I'm done physically.
I keep
done.
telling him he's not, and he's like,
The fentanyl helps you with
Pain.
and yeah. Yes, fentanyl's great for pain. It really. Well, I have lupus. It became active here. Right about the time we met, my lupus became active. But I've always been in a lot of pain.
your lupus?
Lupus. It's autoimmune.
Yeah, I know. But
Yeah.
but the fentanyl helps you with the lupus.
Yeah, with the pain and the achy,
Yeah, we came
I
here.
did with the alcohol. That helped a
You
lot
quit.
before, but
When we came here, it was like they weren't going to separate us. My parole officer, my federal parole officer, I was on state and federal parole, was like, come in for 60 days, we'll dry out, you're good. I'm like, I know that my age dues is turned informant. And they caught him, he left the apartment one evening, I was next door, listening to a scanner, and his apartment got raided. They found an AK-47 suppressor, bulletproof vest in his bedroom. He was out 2 hours later. And from that point, I knew it was a wrap. I've done some bad things.
Yeah, it was
I don't know
God,
what
it
to
was
do.
horrible up there. Just the drones, the constant. Like
told
paranoid. I was
I
like,
told you who I was, what
Yeah.
I was doing.
Well, I mean, I had before I even met him, I had my own issues too.
Yeah.
I've been in.
They suspected I moved 1,100 pounds in 9 months. They suspected me of numerous other violent felonies because of the organization. So I don't know exactly what, because the indictment is sealed. But I know I'll never get out again. I'm not going to be the guy at the end of the tier screaming for help. That, yeah, my word. So I don't know what the end's going to hold. I'm hoping that something, right now everything's so hard because we came here with a plan, but my friends turned their shoulders on me. These guys were my brothers. I found out that I went to go retrieve my tax return for that year, and I was stoked because I was a sommelier. I'm a level 2 sommelier from my teenage when I was robbing banks. And I made a ton of money. I was making $800 to $1,500 a night. I worked at the most expensive restaurant in Montana. I made it the most expensive restaurant. I was nice.
He totally. I mean, when we met, he looks totally. I mean, he had weight on him. I think he owns one pair of jeans and a couple T-shirts. When I met him, he always dressed, with dress shirts and slacks.
When I was a law clerk for years, I was a suit and tie with my first wife, my late wife.
Smart. Yeah, he's a law clerk, by the way, too. Also,
You could look me up on Facebook. I'll tell you my name later. But you'll look at pictures right there and just go, what the fuck?
right?
You're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
What is your full name?
Jean Christian Collins.
I didn't say that was my name. Okay, yeah. Gene Christian Collins.
Do you want to give out your full name?
Sure.
Okay.
It's no harm, no foul at this point.
Yeah.
I'm going to run till they, I have a plan. Hopefully I can pull through with it. And it doesn't involve, it involves one crime. I'm not going to say, but I'm not at liberty to say what it is right now. But if I'm successful, her and I are going to buy a boat, more than likely, and get the hell out of here, man. I hope it happens.
I hope so too.
What do you guys tell me about your relationship? What do you guys see in each other?
For her, I fell in love with her the moment I saw her. I really fell in love with her when we got in a high-speed chase, and I didn't know how to drive on black ice, so I backed into the sign of this motel doing 140 miles an hour on black ice. And she's like, get the fuck out of the
turns on
car.
black ice.
Go, run. I get out of the car and run with no shirt on. And it's snowing like hell out. And I hid in some bushes, and the police come and get me. And they arrested me at that point. Well, they didn't arrest me. They just put cuffs on me and said, we're just putting you under detention right now. And we know who was driving the car. We have cameras. I'm like, oh, yeah, well, whoop-de-doo. You know what I mean? She was in the driver's seat.
I jumped over into the driver's seat.
She took the heat on the whole damn thing.
Well,
I knew right then I was in love.
Well, because
This is my baby.
they knew he was on federal parole, federal and state parole, and if they caught him for that, they would take him back. They would send him back.
For 4 years.
And I'm like, well, and me, I'll go to jail maybe for a little bit. If that, he'll bond me out. I know he'll bond me out. So to me, it was worth it, I don't want him to go back.
So right now, everything was beautiful, man. blissful. Even when, I mean, I was reading law enforcement's every move. I mean, like, they were so easy. We knew exactly when to bail. I'm pretty sure they know where I'm at now.
Oh yeah, they know. They know.
But I
We
love
were,
LA.
we were stayed in a
I
band.
love LA. It's perfect for fugitives, man, because the cops don't care. I got arrested here.
Right?
They found out who I was and let me go.
Yeah. I said, well, it's probably because you're
I'm
still
like,
under
"There's no
investigation.
warrant?"
Still under
I was really
investigation.
concerned because the officer's like, what the hell? I'm like, what's there, man? It's all nothing. And they let me go. That kind of little concerns me because it's
Yeah,
like,
well, plus
am I
me,
just being watched? Or
with
they
that bando,
watching?
remember that bando? I got 5 warrants out of Montana. They're misdemeanors, but they're still warrants. And
I can clear my brother.
over 10,000 in fines.
I'd give him my brother's name, and he's a decorated battalion chief. He followed his father's footsteps. He's my stepbrother. And I used his name. The cops were like, Chief, what are you doing here? I was like, don't worry about it, buddy. Just keep it on.
Yeah. Keep it low. Keep
Oh,
it
he's
low.
gonna
Right,
kill
oh
me.
my God.
You guys have an interesting life, both of you.
Yeah. But see, the crazy thing is with me, we were staying in a bando up in North Hollywood, and they had raided it. This was the second time, and this time they meant business. There was tons of them. So they lined us all up, and they had us handcuffed, and they took our names, and so they were running our names. And I was like this second person that they took my name and everything. And there was probably about 15 of us there. And they hadn't got nothing back on me. I didn't have I didn't pop up anywhere. I gave them both because I have 2 names. I gave them my social security number. I gave them, because I'd been in prison like numerous times, like 8 times in 10 years. But I gave them my AO number, when I went to prison, everything. And I didn't pop up anywhere. And they took my fingerprint because they have now, like, they have a little machine where they carry around with them, and you take your fingerprint right there.
So our
Nothing
lives-
came up.
So our lives now are just like, I'm like, baby, come with me. I can't be separated from you.
What are you guys hoping to do? What would you like
My
to see?
plan was to buy a boat. I was going to come here and see one of my former law partners who was like a brother to me. There were 2 law partners, actually. And literally, I've been in shootouts with these guys. These are lawyers. One's a judge, but party am judge. They're stupid. But anyways, little did I know I went to go get my tax return that year. And they were like, oh no, you're getting audited. I paid $11.5 million between 2005 and 2015. That's why they didn't give me tax evasion. But I had $800,000 in outstanding taxes, which had catapulted into $1.8 million. I owe more than Willie Nelson.
It's fucking insane. It's just insane.
We went to the IRS to. We were going to get married, and I wanted to find out how to save her from the wrath of the IRS. And this was before everything else.
Before you broke your neck.
Yeah. So my plan was to come here. Unfortunately, what had happened was my brother, the owner of the law firm, back in 2013, my late wife had died. And he was under IRS investigation, and he needed cash. So I said, dude, just 1099 me for 50 G's. You know what I mean? And you can take that out of the general fund and we'll be all right. You'll be all right. And so he said, okay, cool. Well, he not only took that 50, he just repeatedly 1099 me. And I didn't know about it. I knew about it when her and I came here. We stayed with a former girlfriend of mine who was also had turned into my best friend. She was very wealthy. She had a penthouse downtown. She never lived a life like that. It was funny watching her. But turns out she's been in love with me for 30 years and threw us out one day.
Yeah, yeah. When he asked her to be his best man, lady, and she never answered him. He asked her like 3 times, and I was like, she never answered you, and he's like, she didn't. I said no. And then after that, it was just one thing after the other. She just was like, we couldn't even go. There was a swimming pool and a gym and a spa upstairs, and we'd go smoke up there and take the dogs up there. And we couldn't even go up there. There was something, we were doing something. We were doing drugs up there. We were doing all the, and we hadn't been.
And we would literally put everything on coming here and building somewhat of a legitimate life, changing our identities, building a legitimate life. And it didn't work. We got thrown on the streets.
She threw us out one day.
We ended up in a park.
They didn't let us back in.
And I got sick of her sleeping in the cold, not showering, not being able to use the bathroom. Horrified. And so I went to my friend. He never said no to me for anything. And I went in, and he was at lunch. He came back, and I told her, wait, I'm going to go get our stuff from the park and bring it here. My buddy's going to be okay with you on the couch. Just get some rest.
It was so nice to lay on a couch.
When I came back from the park, she was on the curb crying. He basically turned his cold shoulder on me and told me to F off. Even though he owed me basically what I consider $1.8 million, because I'm not going to get out of that. I can't get a loan. I can't do nothing. I couldn't get a loan anyways, but I can't move. And he threw us on the streets at that point. That was what, October? Is that just after?
No, it was in
It was October,
No,
November.
because we got here in October. We got here October, right?
November.
October, November. It was December.
And from that point, we really just went off on the drugs. It was all we could do to kind of placate.
OD'd numerous times.
Yeah, placate our thoughts. And we had a plan, but she didn't want me to. She was worried about me going and doing things. I didn't want to go and do things and not come home.
How are you guys supporting yourself?
Or not.
We boost.
I'm a really good thief. I don't want to threaten people. I don't want to commit robberies. I think that
I know they're just waiting for him to rob a bank, but he's not.
The easiest way for me to.
It's really hard. It's scary that
this is boost. But I mean, I'm good. I'll go in and take $2,000 from Macy's, like that.
Clothes, and then we take them and trade them.
I'll go fence them.
Yeah, I'll go fence them and get money. But it's a day-to-day thing, and it's so tiring. Every day, all day, and sometimes we just walk around all night and just. It's a lot.
Literally walking the streets at night.
Crystal meth helps you with that. The crystal meth helps you with that?
Yeah.
We don't do as much, so we don't really.
We do a lot more fentanyl than we do that. I don't like fentanyl. I don't like playing suicide. But it keeps me mellow and it helps with my pain.
Right.
I don't know what to do with her. Right now we're having a really hard time. We're fighting every minute of the day, man. Because I feel that she resents me.
I don't resent you.
And I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all, man. I'm an idiot. I'm one fucking idiot. You should not be with me.
But you're all I have. I'm all you have. Literally.
That's where we're at right now. I think we're at our last straw. She understands that I'm not going back to jail.
It gets frustrating, though. It's really hard. And especially since when we lost the baby, that was like, that was just mind blowing. I mean, just still just, we would have changed. We would have stopped. We would have, I believe we would have. If I knew I was pregnant, you know?
Yeah, we would have. I would have made you stop. I would have tied you up and put you in the trunk somewhere.
We've done
I woke
that.
up tied up to a chair. My wheelchair.
Last
I tied you to a wheelchair.
I get so frustrated anymore. I think it's menopause. I'm not sure. I'm 49.
It's like that time
But I
in
get
life,
so,
I'm tired of the wheelchair.
I mean, I go from, my emotions are just radical, you know?
I think so.
Just radical, just all, you know, and I just get
still
so
right.
frustrated and just,
You're still right, though. If
I'm
I don't
tired
get
of
away
it.
with what I have planned, then I'm going to send her home.
But it's every day I'm just tired. I want to go back to college. I think that
She
would be
wants
a
to do
great
lot of
thing.
things.
But it's being stable. The stability factor is really the price of living here
Oh,
is just
we're gonna be
outrageous.
stable if I get away with what I got planned. We're gonna retire for the rest of our lives, and they ain't never gonna find us. But that's a long shot, and getting out of here alive is gonna be a long shot. I know the individual I'm fucking with, and he's gonna know it was me.
You have an interesting story, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wish you guys all the luck in the world.
Thank you.
Hey, man.
Thank you for coming by and sharing your stories.
Go
You bet.
Pigs.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
When I was designing the first Soft White Underbelly book, I realized that there were so many great portraits that weren't going to make it into that book. They just wouldn't fit. And once I saw how well that first book sold, I knew I'd have to design a second book. This second book is finally ready to ship. Like the first one, this book has a collection of some of the best portraits from Soft White Underbelly, accompanied by a quote from that person's interview. This book features another group of Rebecca portraits, as well as a collection of color images of the Whitaker family, and plenty of others. You can order yours for $125 or $150 for a signed copy at softwhiteunderbelly.org. Again, like the first book, once this book is sold out, I will not be printing more of them. The portraits are what Soft White Underbelly is all about, and these two books contain the best of all that work. Thank you for watching.